Owls are some of the most iconic birds on the entire planet, but what makes this group of birds so special? Let's dive into the complex world of owls around the world, and you'll be surprised what you'll learn. Owls are extremely mysterious and interesting creatures, meaning that they're mostly active in the middle of the night. But many of us are only aware of the few owl species around us, if even that. For most people, owls are just, oh, that's an owl, and there's nothing more. But did you know that owls are found on every single continent in the world except for Antarctica? Let's start with the basics though. What makes an owl an owl? Well, owls are in the order Strigiformes, and within that order are two separate families. Strigidae, which has 228 total owl species, and these are considered the true owls, but we'll get into that in a second. And Titonidae, which has 20 species, and these are all of the barn owls found throughout the world. Now, I'm not going to ignore Titonidae, but for the purposes of this video, I already did an entire video on barn owls, specifically the American barn owl. So after this one, go check that one out. But if your feelings are hurt, don't worry. The American barn owl is my favorite owl of all time, and I definitely consider it an owl, a true owl as well. So back to my earlier question, what makes an owl an owl? Well, for starters, most owls are known for being nocturnal. Now, what's really important to understand here is that not all owls are only active at night. You can very much see an owl in the middle of the day. It's a little bit more of a rare occurrence, but there's also some species that are diurnal, meaning that they only hang out during the day for the most part. But yes, many owls are nocturnal, and this is a distinguishing trait from a lot of other bird species. Many of the owl's adaptations that make them unique compared to other families of birds are specifically adapted for them being able to hunt in these really dark and dreary conditions. For example, they have very strong hearing because obviously if there's not a lot of light out, it's very difficult to see even for an owl. So owls have asymmetrical ear openings that help them pinpoint exactly where prey is in its positioning. Their wing feathers have softer edges, which makes them extremely silent when they're in flight. And they also have forward pointing eyes on a very flat facial disc. Another interesting thing that makes owls unique compared to other species are that their eyes are tubular, which allows them to have extreme binocular vision and let in a ton of light to be able to see in pitch black darkness. Now, because their eyes are tubular and they go back into the back of their head, they can't turn their eyes like we can. So they've adapted the ability to turn their heads 270 degrees, another adaptation that's unique to owls. But where do these creatures reside across the world? Owls actually occupy almost every habitat across the entire world. For example, the snowy owl occupies the Arctic tundra as its home, and the Seychelles scops owl occupies the tiny island of Seychelles. So there's tropical owls, there's desert owls, there's Arctic owls. You can find owls pretty much everywhere on the entire planet. Something else that makes owls interesting is that they only exclusively eat meat, meaning that they are exclusively carnivorous. The smaller species will also eat insects, but most owls will go after larger mammals and other meat items like fish and even birds, and at times they'll go after other smaller owls. Now, for example, the species in the family Ketupa, which are the eagle owls and the fish owls, they exclusively go after fish, at least some of those species. Each owl has adapted unique traits to help them hunt their various prey items from the air to the land and the sea. It's actually really cool when you dig into it to see how much diversity is in this one family of birds. Most owls are monogamous, and both parents will actually be involved in the rearing of the young. Owls aren't really known for making nests, and they typically find burrows or tree cavities, and they'll nest also on cliff sides. So they're not really nest builders, but they will occupy other creatures' nests, especially when they've been abandoned. Sometimes owls will even nest on the ground. Now, a lot of owls are doing okay conservation-wise, but there's a ton of species that aren't. Over 64 species found within the family Strigidae are at risk, which, if you do the math, is roughly 30% of all owl species. Per usual, the owls suffering the most right now are those found on small islands. So a lot of those scops owls, which we'll get into in a little bit, because they have such a small and unstable environment, these would be the first to go extinct if things were to happen. So now that we have the basics down, let's talk about some of these owl species found across the world. Now, there are 23 genuses within the family Strigidae. One genus that many of you will be familiar with is the genus Bubo. Bubo contains species such as the great horned owl, Bubo virginianus, the snowy owl, the pharaoh eagle owl, and the Eurasian eagle owl. For the most part, the genus Bubo, they're the owls that have the little feathers on their head that resemble like horns. And by the way, something really, really cool about owls is those owls that have a disc on their face, that's actually an adaptation to help them direct sound that's bouncing off of their face directly into those asymmetrical ears. It's pretty incredible to think about that pretty much everything on the owl is adapted to help it hunt in the middle of the night, and those discs also serve a purpose as well. Now, the genus Otis has the most species found within it for the owls, and these are really small owls, which, like I mentioned before, are the scops owls. So it's very interesting when you look at the Arabian scops owl and the Principe scops owl, as well as the reddish scops owl. There's a lot of diversity across these scops owl species, but many of them are found on islands. And not only that, but they're heavily camouflaged and really difficult to find. So some of these owls are the hardest to find in the entire world. Now, I mentioned earlier that all owls are carnivorous, but some of the smaller owls exclusively eat insects. A lot of the scops owls will only consume insects due to their very small size. And unfortunately, because many of these owl species live on islands, a lot of them are endangered of going extinct. Now let's talk about some of the stranger owls in the family Strigidae. The first I want to talk about is the Blakiston's fish owl, which falls into the genus Ketupa. Now, if you remember what I said earlier, these are the eagle owls, and they exclusively, a lot of them, eat fish. Now, the Blakiston's fish owl is one of those owls that exclusively eats fish, but what makes it really interesting and different is not that it's one of the largest owls on the planet, but they'll often stand in shallow water and they'll stand very still and they'll wait for fish to pass by and then strike at them. So its behavior is more like a heron, not like the swooping and diving behavior that you usually think about in owl species. And again, I mentioned they're one of the biggest, most massive owls and the heaviest owl in the entire world. They're absolutely incredible. I hope to see one someday. There's also some species that stand completely alone in their genus, making them some of the most unique owls on the planet. For example, the crested owl stands alone in the genus Lophostrix. There's nothing too crazy about this bird's behavior. It's an owl, doesn't do anything too wild, but it is one of the few owls that will forage for arthropods and small vertebrates on the ground. Another owl that stands alone in its genus that those in North America are probably familiar with is the northern hawk owl, and it's the only bird in the genus Cernia. It's also a bird that we don't know a lot about. It looks like a hawk, hence its name, but it's primarily diurnal, meaning that it hangs out mostly during the day, which means it also kind of behaves like a hawk as well. This bird hangs out in the very northern reaches of the United States and into Canada. It likes to hang out in that boreal forest zone, and you can find it from Alaska all the way down to Newfoundland, and also you can find it in Scandinavia on the other side to Siberia. Another weird thing about northern hawk owls is that the females are much bigger than the males. All other owls except for the burrowing owl have this trait where the female is noticeably bigger than the males. But what's the weirdest genus in Strigidae? Well, this is a little bit subjective, but in my opinion, it's the genus Xenoglox, which is so fun to say, Xenoglox. Like, it just sounds like a spell, kind of. And honestly, there's only one species in this genus as well. I say it's the weirdest genus because it literally translates over to strange owl. Now, the bird found in this genus is the long-whiskered owlet, and besides looking quite strange, like it's the only owl to have those whiskers jutting out of its face, there's so much other interesting stuff about this bird. For example, it wasn't discovered or documented, at least, by Western science until 1976 by a team of researchers from Louisiana State University. Imagine being in the 1970s and documenting a brand new bird. That's pretty incredible. Now, besides its extremely long whiskers, which makes it weird already, it has really stubby wings and barely any tail at all. It's found in a very dense cloud forest in the middle of Peru, and this also makes the species near impossible to find. Many think that it might not even be able to fly far enough, but we do know that it does fly because a lot of the specimens that we found, or the still alive species that we found, have been trapped in mist nets, which kind of requires you to get up off the ground to fly into them. Now that we're through the oddballs of the owls, let me rapid fire some fun owl facts at you as well. A group of owls is known as a parliament, which just sounds super wise and fitting for this specific group and family of birds. If any of you know the really extremely stinky creature, the skunk, you would also be fascinated to know that owls are one of the only things that'll prey on skunks because they don't have super strong smell. And this is specifically, in a lot of cases, the great horned owl that goes after these skunks. I also mentioned that many owls have asymmetrical ears, but we didn't really talk about what that implies. It actually means that their ears are located at different heights on their head. Like literally, it'd be if my ear was up here and my other ear was a little bit lower. That actually helps them triangulate and pinpoint sound a lot better than those of us species that have more symmetrical ears on both sides of our heads. Another fun fact is that owls will hunt other owls. There's really no friendly alliance between all of the species. Bigger owls will very frequently go after and eat smaller owls on a regular basis. Another common misconception about owls is that not all of them make those hooting noises that you hear in the cartoons. The great horned owl and a few other species will definitely hoot, but many of the owls will either hiss or screech or scream rather than hoot. Owls are also something known as zygodactyl, which means that their feet have 2 toes facing forward and 2 toes facing backward. But what makes them different than other zygodactyl species is that the owls can actually bring one of those toes forward. This helps them walk a lot easier and also gives them a stronger grip. Well, there you have it. Owls are absolutely incredible, and I just barely scratched the surface on this family, Strigidae. So you definitely should dive into your field guides and do even more research. I have so many species close to home. Some of those have been featured in the video, and my favorite true owl or Strigidae family owl would probably have to be the burrowing owl. It's extremely unique in that it burrows into the ground, and I'll probably do a full video on them someday, so make sure you subscribe. But let me know in the comments below, what's your favorite owl species? I want to hear from you, and also what's a fun owl fact that I may have missed during this video? Make sure you check out Bright-Eyed Birding, where I take you on birding adventures once per week, where we find pretty frequent basis some of these owl species. If you'd like to support my channels, links to the merch and my membership program are in the description below. It really helps a lot. Thank you so much. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you all next time on Bright-Eyed Birding Learn.